All right, guys, here we are. Today is October 11th, so that is 8 weeks exactly. And it's time to open this up. Listening to Mark here, who posted and said, hey, you really should probably empty it out, see how they're doing, add anything that's not complete back in. Sorry, I'm just trying to be very careful opening this. And restart the bin. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to sort this out a little bit and restart it. So first thing I got to do here is I'm just trying to open this very carefully. I've got it up on a bench, so it's a little harder to open than when it's on the ground. There we go. And as we can tell, one worm right there on the top. Let's just knock him down in there. A couple worms over here too. So they're running out of food here. And there's a couple worms over here. So they were starting to run out of food, I think, in here. So I think it's a good thing. This is 8 weeks in. I think this is a little bit too long, maybe. So there we go. I think I got all the worms off the top here, and they are all sitting in here. All right, so let me get my gloves on here. Now let's start taking this thing apart and see how it's doing. So first thing off, I'm going to just pull this out. I think we could just reuse this. I don't actually need to clean this off or anything. This looks pretty good. This is the wiring. It's got a nice sock on here. Maybe some of the material's gone, but overall it looks pretty good. I'm just going to throw that to the side here. Now, let's dump this out, actually. You know, I was going to try to scrape everything out and stuff, but you know what? I think it's just going to be easier. Just take it, tip it, dump it out right in here. And you can see there's maybe a couple little of fruit fly larvae or something on the bottom here. So there we go. I'm just shaking it loose. Or everything that I can get loose from it. All right, that's pretty good. Actually, hold on, let me just see if I can pull this metal piece out here. There we go. And grab my little cup that I had in here. It sort of collapsed in a little bit, but that's okay. We're going to reuse that. It's a little wet in here, but this was very, very wet when I loaded it up. So I know you can't really see right now what I'm doing. I'm just reaching in, grabbing handfuls here. So I'm curious how this is doing. Try not to get it too much on my sleeves or arms. All right. Lots of worms in here, though. I mean, I did not add this many worms when I loaded this up. So they really multiplied in here. This has been a really, really good container for them. And I think that's a good portion of it out right now. So let me just show you what I've got left in here. If I can. So there's a little bit left in the, actually let me see if I can scrape this out just a little bit more on this side right here. I know it's hard to see while I'm doing this. It's because I'm reaching in on the side. I can scrape it out a little bit. So really wet material, a little wetter than I thought it would be. Just going to throw the bucket to the side here. And we've got our piece on the bottom. So this is our parts that we're going to need to create a new one of these. I got to move my hair out of the way here. And tell you what, let me just adjust this camera a little bit here. All right, so we're zoomed in a little bit more. Big chunk of paper here on the bottom. This is a chicken bone. I have been trying to figure out ways to dissolve these chicken bones. I have really, this has been one of my goals, is to find a way to reuse chicken bones. So actually in this new one, I ground up some, and you can watch the video, some chicken bones to throw in here. So first thing first, we're going to throw some of this stuff to the side here. You can tell this is not fully broken down. I'm not seeing any cocoons on it, but this is a legible piece of paper in here. So we're going to throw that to this side right over here, and we're going to try to shift everything that we can. Actually, let's move this all over here. All right, so we got a huge stack of worms in here with some paper. We're going to throw that over there too. Just going to kind of go through this a little bit more paper over here, some stems and paper right here. A little bit more over here. Still looking for cocoons as I'm going through this. I'm not seeing any right now, which is funny since I saw so many when I emptied it out the first time or looked at it. This stuff looks pretty well composted. A couple, I think these are avocado peels. You can hear a cricket in here going nuts. Here's a grape stem. These things take a long time to break down. I'm going to throw that over here as well. We'll run that through again. It feels like there's a big chunk of paper right here. And there is. And there's a cocoon. Look at that. Nice bright cocoon right there on my finger. So So you can really see that cocoon right there. So worms are doing pretty good in here. Still cocoons. I'm going to throw that over here. You know, here's a piece of plant or something like that, some plant matter. I'm going to put that off to the side here. There are an absolute ton of worms in here. I mean, I've never seen them this concentrated over a large area. Typically, they're like in my bins. You don't find them typically through the entire bin, just like in small sections of it. But they're really through this entire thing here. So I definitely had some stuff that didn't break down quite as well. So I think right here, this is a piece of corn on the cob. I know that stuff takes a while to break down. It's a little chunk, but still, they just take a long time. I mean, you know, the worms have a lot of other stuff to work on in here. They're going to work at that stuff first and get to the corn on the cob last. Another bone right here. As I said, I'm desperately trying to find a way to process chicken bones. That's one of the things that it's on my list. I've tried multiple things from bokashi to, you know, grinding them up, which I'm trying again actually in this next one. I'm going to grind them up and throw them in, and it's one of those things where I have chicken bones and I want to be able to use them, not have to, not constantly have to throw them out. So, got to find some way to use them. All right, it feels like there's a lot of paper over here. Now, or not paper. I think what these are, I'll probably throw these in through again. I think these pieces right here, and you can see it right there, and right over here. These are artichoke. I think we eat a lot of artichokes in my house, and I think I threw some artichoke leaves in here, and they just take a long time to break down as well. They're very fibrous, you know, and you know, just like corn, they just take a long time. And as there's other stuff for them to work on, they'll just continue to plow through everything else that they can until it breaks down enough, or you know, slowly gets to the point where they can break it down. Now, I think that these did go through my little grinding machine here, these artichokes, but they still just did not break down quite as much as I'd hoped. But still, I mean, there was so much food in here. To see it just reduced to this type of, you know, pile of stuff is quite amazing to me. You know, again, I think that's maybe that's actually corn silk or the corn husk. I don't know. That's a longer piece. Well, actually, hold on. Maybe it's, hold on. You know what? It is. There we go. That's the way it looks. That is definitely artichoke. I was going to say, it looked a little bit different from that when it was open like that. So, more worms. Just kind of dig over here a little bit. Now, one of the things that I can do, here's that chicken bone. As I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I've been desperately trying to throw them in stuff. There's just a ton of worms in here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pile this up over here. I'm going to try to let them dig down. And while we're doing that, I'm going to move this off to the side. We're going to get this set up again to go. We're going to take all this stuff on this side over here. This is going to go all right back in, you know, on different levels of the bin, or the bin, the 5-gallon or 6-gallon tote that I've got, or tote, the bucket, sorry, 6-gallon bucket here. These are all going to go right back in, and we're going to see if we can get these to break down. There's another bone. I'll put that off to the side now, I think. But I think this stuff is ready to go. So I'm not going to clean out the bin completely. I'm actually going to leave it as is. This stuff we're going to move off to the side and let these worms sort of work their way down. I'll just slowly pick this stuff through here. There's another cocoon here. There you go. You can really see that one too. Let's put it so I focus on my hand right there. Cocoon. So I'm going to make sure that guy goes in there. So we'll let these guys dig down. I'm going to move them off to the side. Actually, there's more cocoons. One here, one there, one there. So again, lots of cocoons. I just didn't see them when I first started opening them. But let's get this ready to go again and pack it up. And we're going to put this mass, or I should say this mass over here on top, and then the worms that are left over here that dig down, we'll put those on top as well and let them start working through this again. But let's get the bucket and let's get this moving again. So let's get started. Okay, before we start this, there's one thing that I need to fix that I did wrong here, and that is in this bottom here. You can see this sticking up. It sticks in sort of like these things do right here. It's sticking up into the bucket, and that makes it where it actually will not drain quite as well. So what I need to do is I need to take that off and attach it from the other side. So I'm going to flip this on its side. Oh, I would flip it over, but hold on, let's just see. Maybe I can do it this way to show you guys. So you can see it's flat there, and because of that, it was not draining very well. So I'm going to have to flip that around. So I'm going to unscrew that from the inside here. I'm just going to reach in here, unscrew it if I can. It doesn't seem to want to. All right, maybe I'll be leaving it this way. We'll see here. Hold on just a second. I think I might need to actually hold it on the bottom here while I'm unscrewing. There we go. Now it's coming off. So I was holding one side, and as you can see here, it needs to go this way outside the bucket with the cap on this side, and that way it can drain out. So what I need to do is I need to slide this back in. Actually, I'm going to put this piece down right here. I'm going to just put this back in the center of the bucket going this way, so that way it's going down, and then this is flush, so that way it can actually drain properly, which is an issue that I was told I would have by Mark. After I did this, I didn't realize I had done it incorrectly until he was looking at it. So I'm going to just reattach this the proper way, and then hopefully that way we have a better drain here. So now in the bottom, it's sticking out. So if you, let's just see if I can show you. See, it's sticking out the bottom, and that's going to help this drain a little bit better. So that's the first thing we're going to do here. Now we're going to put this upright, and we're going to get this ready to go. Actually, I'm going to clean off my hand here real quick. A little dirty after that. All right, and the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to put in our, actually, not our makeshift shelf. We've got our little container here that's going to go over that. Now, I didn't say this last time, but I did slice some holes in this just to make it so water and air could get in and out. It's not meant to be a perfect, sealed system. So there we go, that's in there. Now we're going to put on our little metal shelving unit here. And as I said, I'm not cleaning this out fully, so there's going to be room for them to get down in there and back and forth and everything. But then they're going to move down there anyhow, which is what happened before. So I'm not too worried about it. All right, here, just give me a second. Now we need some paper, which I've got right here, to put on a cover, or the first base on here. We're going to grab a couple sheets right here. We're going to fold this under here and fold this one under if I can. I'm going to slide this down here. All right, and now we need our top to go on. Okay, just like that, or the centerpiece. All right, move that a little closer for you guys. Now, I have, and I'll link to the video here, I have a bucket of ground up food off to the side here. Actually, let me just pull this out of the way so you can see it for a second here. I'll zoom back actually so you can see the entire process again, but this is the bucket of ground up material. We're going to pack this into rolls of newspaper called compost rolls, and that's how we're going to do this again. So let me back this up here a little bit. Back it up. There we go. That's a little better. Move this a little closer to you guys. And now I can start packing these up. So I'm going to grab sheets of paper. This is just as I did this before. So I'm going to grab this, grab a handful or two of stuff, and this is, make sure it's mixed up a little bit here. And there are some ground up chicken bones in here, as I've been saying. So I'm really hoping that they can break down, and they'll be gone after the 6 to 8 weeks that we let this sit. All right, so there's our first one. I'm just gonna put that down right over here. We'll stand that up after we get our second one here in on the other side. Oh, hold on, that's a small sheet of paper. I would like a bigger one. Now, I also, when I talked to Mark and I posted the video, I was amazed at how much this shrunk down. I was like, I could have packed a lot more in if I'd known that. And he said, you don't really want to pack them too tight, because then what's going to happen is it's going to be too much for, not enough air movement. The idea is that there's air movement in here, and that's part of the reason why this works so well. So the idea is not to pack it overly tight. So I'm going to put this back in the center. There we go. So I'm just loosely packing these in. I'm not shoving them down in there and jamming them in place. I'm just loosely packing them. All right. So you don't want to pack them in too tight or too hard where the worms can't move around real well. So you want to make it so that way they can move around, they can get some air, they can breathe. So just some hints here from Mark when he set these up, and what he's learned over his process of doing this. Now, I'm also, just so you guys know, I'm throwing in lemons. I'm throwing in a bunch of no-nos in these bins. I am not sugarcoating it. It's not like I'm making, like, you know, a ball of melon here or something like that. Like, I'm not doing that. So, you know, it's not like these are perfect by any means. All right, now I'm going to take the material that I had left over from last time, and I'm actually going to spread that in this center section here. This has a ton of worms in it, has a ton of material. We're just going to spread that around in here. This is going to be our medium, or our detritus, underforced detritus here. Oops, I don't want to put those in there. And we're going to let those wither around. Now, I am going to throw these bones back in as well. I just want to see if these will ever break down in here. You know, they should in theory over time, but, you know, I haven't really seen that happen in mine. So we're going to just test it out a little bit. All right, this is a small piece of paper. That's okay. We'll just put a little bit less on here. And I'm really, I love my bin systems that I have. I really do. I mean, they work really well. The bag systems work really well. This is just a different type of system, and it's something that can definitely be used by people that either have a whole lot of compost. So if you're somebody that just goes through a whole lot of stuff, you know, this could be a really good system to use. You've got, it's meant for a batch. So you're putting everything together and putting it off to the side. If you're somebody that runs a house with a lot of people in it, this probably might be a better system to use, actually. You know, I've got four, I should say, and a dog, which I consider a person. He's my fur baby. And, you know, we really do load up our freezer filled with food, which is why I have been able to do this. You know, it's even with all the systems that I have, and I'm having trouble keeping them all fed because it's really hard to make these, you know, oh, well, you know, I got to feed them once a week or every other week, and, you know, I've got multiple systems to manage. It's a lot easier to just throw stuff in one of these bins or, you know, buckets and just put it off to the side and be like, all right, that one's good. I'll just wait till I fill up again and do another one. So it can be a great system either way. It just depends on what you want and how you want to do it. I do like having the systems though where I can just throw food in, kind of, you know, especially as we go through coffee, which is harder to store, I find, like, you know, used coffee bags. Now I get a lot of those during the week as I make coffee every day. And it just takes that's a little bit harder. And that's for those type of systems, I really do like having that daily system. I can kind of just chuck a little bit in and, you know, not worry about it too much. But when you start really getting in a whole lot, and especially these no-nos, and I call them that because everyone says, oh, you shouldn't throw them in, such as, you know, citrus, lemon, and orange, and clementine, and, you know, I mean, I've ground up bones in here too. So, I mean, like, those are all stuff that they say not to put into your bins. And, well, they can go in here, and you're just setting it off to the side. The worms will eventually get to it. So we're getting here now. I think this might be the last one here. And then we'll be able to throw in some more stuff, you know, and finish this up. So let's just see if I can scrape this out here. Last bit. All right. Now, this is doing pretty well. As I said, just loading this up here. So we're about up to this canister. We're, you know, probably an inch below these vents here as far as the stuff. Pretty empty, this bucket. A little bit left in there. I'll have to rinse it out. Now, last part of this is right here. And that is, we need to kind of sort this a little bit more. I'm going to just take some of this stuff off. And some of the worms are going to come with it. I'm actually going to probably throw this in another bin just to make sure I get all the worms out and make sure it's fully composted. But, I mean, this is doing pretty well. Right there's some stuff that I'll throw in there. And this is one of the things that does happen. You can see right here, I've got a plastic label. These things never break down. And it's sort of disappointing that they put this on all this food. You know, they had these plastic labels that never go anywhere, and they just sort of sit, and you have to throw them out, which is kind of sad. You know, why not put something on that's compostable or edible in some way? You know, let me throw that guy in there. Here's another bone, so I'll throw that in there. All right. Here's another wad of paper here with a whole bunch of worms by it, so I'm going to throw that in there on top. Piece of avocado shell. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab this section here at the bottom, which is just loaded with worms now, as you can see. And I'm just going to put that in here, because we do need a whole bunch of worms. But I think these other ones, let's just actually maybe one more handful right here. Get that peel off. Another big handful of worms right here. So this is now reloaded and ready to go for a second round. Let's just take one more stab through here. See if there's anything else I want to kind of chuck in here. Right, maybe this last handful of worms. Nice big handful of worms again, right over here. So we're still getting a whole bunch of worms out of here. I'm just going to take this stuff right here. I think some of this is might need to go through a little bit more with one of my other systems, dry out a little bit, make sure it's fully finished, and then I'll run it through with the castings. You know, this is definitely a little bit more moist than I'm used to. Oh, here's another bone here. Let me just throw that in. So, but this did work really well. I mean, this really did. I mean, to load up a system and come back with primarily castings and have your waste reduced from essentially this bucket to, you know, a little bit more than what this area is. I mean, really, you know, you could say, oh, well, you went from, let's say this is 5 gallons that I've loaded in this bucket. It's dropped down to maybe 1 gallon and to 2 gallons maybe worth of material, which is, even if you're throwing this stuff out or putting it in your yard, it's not going to the dump. And that is key. And that's one of the things I'm really working on, is trying not to throw things out, or, you know, not just throw things out, but to make sure that it's reused. I don't want to just have it sit in a landfill or, you know, some composter that never gets used again. But the idea is to have this be used eventually. So this is going to go through one of my other bins, I think. I'll probably put it through one of my, if I had to guess, probably my my small Vermibag Mini or my Urban Worm Bag version 1.0. I'll probably just put it through one of those and just have it slowly sink through, and it'll just go through. It also inoculates with a whole bunch more worms, as they're kind of getting a little bit low in some of those systems as they've sat a little bit longer, and, you know, I really need to empty them out. So that's what I'm going to do with this. This is now ready to go. Let's seal this up with a lid. Let's put the date on it, and we'll come back in another, I guess, 6 weeks. We'll test out 6 weeks again, and we'll see how this does. So let me grab the lid here, and I will mark this. I'm going to change this date to October 11th. So we'll do that. I'll take that off right now. And I'll seal this on the ground. I found out that I really can't seal them up here. It's really hard to seal them on this bench because I'm worried about it falling through or pushing through. So let me see if I can grab my pen and mark this date. All right, here we go. I'm going to turn this around so I can write it. Actually, I'm going to write it this way, and then I'll turn it around for you. So it is 10/11/2020. So, oops, let's make sure that's connected. So there you go. So there is our date on there. And now we'll open this in 6 weeks. So hopefully by then this will be gone. And we'll be able to, I'll dump it out right away this time. I'm not going to just leave it in the bucket. We'll dump it out right away. Because I am worried about water, I am going to put this in another tray. I really don't want to have it leaking all over the floor again. And this is a huge mixture of foods from dry to wet, so I didn't add in extra paper like I had mentioned. I thought, you know what, you really shouldn't need to do that. And the paper was one of the few things that did not get broken down fully. So less paper than I expected, but also we'll just have a place for it to go. And, you know, once you do that, it's not a big deal. So put this in another container. It's now ready to go and sealed up, and we're good. So thank you for watching. If you have questions, please let me know. And I also, please, if you're watching this, subscribe to Mark. He did a great job with this, and Eve Growing. I will link it down below. I will link it up above, and I'll link it at the end. I'm going to put links all over the place for this. So again, this is a Vernmenting system, and this is the second test of this system for me. So first system worked great. Got a whole bunch of good material out of it right down here. But we're going to try it again and see how it comes out. So thank you for watching.